Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the situation report or the summary for the day of 845 for the 17th of June. Commander, don't press the like button. No need to press because we have done it. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry has published a report after you guys have infiltrated into the ministry and brainwash them into publishing the report. So that's good. So we have more information today, and we're going to start off with frontline changes report. And so there's a lot of good news for the Ukrainians, but horrible news for the Ukrainians as well. In the same day, over the past 24 hours, there's frontline changes over at Ibitske, Voschansk, Taike, Rozdolivka, Akhanelske, Novo-Oleksandrivka, Soki, Umansky, as well as Yasnobrodivka. So we got to go into the Kharkiv front. So at the Kharkiv front, first thing first is the situation at Ibitske. We have been talking about this for some time. That this area here, or this Russian claim here, that is remaining, is unlikely to be there. No, but we were looking for this corroboration, and finally we have this. Ukrainian forces is geolocated right at the border, getting struck by Russian forces, which then invalidated the entire this pole or this thingy heading towards Ibitske. So, which means that the fighting reported at Ibitske, is probably just very yeah, but so I don't need to say because Then so and over at Voschansk, there is a geolocation of Ukrainian forces over at this location, and this previously reported as under Russian control. So with this means that the Ukrainians have actually managed to take probably another beachhead across the Voschansk River, and so this makes a frontline change. So this is on the very eastern outskirts of Voschansk. And more frontline changes over on the eastern part of this location is at Taike. Russian forces are geolocated along the forest region here, invalidating Ukrainian claims. However, Ukrainian forces are geolocated right in Taike. The fact that they are geolocated here means that the entire of Taike is under Ukrainian control, which means that the entire claim that Taike has been captured by the Russian forces, as per reported by Ryba, is invalidated. So this allow us to reduce the amount of gray zones in this area here, because there's so much uncertainty about the current situation around here. So we're going to move on away from the Kharkiv front. The next frontline change is over at Rozdolivka. So Rozdolivka is over at Siversk front. At the Siversk front, there is a very shocking geolocation. Russian forces geolocated just off Rozdolivka, which shows that Russian forces have actually entered into Rozdolivka, or just about to enter Rozdolivka. So hopefully it's just a tip only, just a tip, and that's all from Rozdolivka. We're probably going to see some battle of Rozdolivka very, very soon. The next frontline change is over at Akhanelske. So at the Avdiivka front, there is a lot of changes, and the Russians are basically hammering away at the Ukrainians in this area here. Russian forces, based on the Russian mapping, Ryba's mapping shows that the Russian forces has advanced in this area here, taking more grounds in the northeast of Novo-Oleksandrivka, as well as in the northwest of Akhanelske. However, this frontline change is not reflected on the Ukrainian mapping, but the Ukrainian side, Deep State UA did mention that the Russian forces advanced, but I didn't see the reflection of that advance in the mapping. In fact, if I take out the Ryba's claim, there's no frontline changes over at this region. So I'm not sure if the map was not updated or something. So over further south from this location, there is frontline change over at Soki, and this is rather significant because Russian forces geolocated to be storming the trenches in the north of Soki. And based on Ukrainian mapping, they mapped that the Russian forces have advanced even to the second tree line. Pretty huge advance reported by Deep State UA, the pro-Ukrainian side. So the Ukrainian mapping mapped the Russians advance greatly, and this makes me wonder if the Ukrainians are even over this trench line at all. given the speed of the advance. So with this advance also means that the Russians can basically pincer to the rear positions of the Ukrainian trenches, which will just force the Ukrainians to redraw, even if they are there. So this is a massive frontline change over the area of Sokil. The furthest depth in terms of distance is almost 1.7 kilometers. It's a very deep advance. No, they went all the way in. So the next frontline change after Sokil is south of this location at Umansky. Similarly, Deep State UA has reported a massive 1.5 plus kilometers advance by the Russian forces. For us, the Russian mapping was like this, but the Ukrainians claim was this. So the Russians now have firm control across all the three lines that is parallel to Umansky, with the Russian forces making huge advance in this area here. Basically, the Ukrainians is going to be ejected from this area for good. If I zoom out a bit, you probably can see the repercussion. Russian forces taking this entire northern dual tree line north of Umansky. So which means that Ukrainian forces along these three lines, some of these are just impossible to hold. All these are just not possible to hold. So anyway, this is the front line change over at Umansky. And the one last front line change is over at Yasnobrodivka, just south of Umansky. Russian forces geolocated along the lake, basically confirming that the Russians have taken the entire salient around here, basically facing the Ukrainians over at Yasnobrodivka. Ukrainian forces geolocated right very near them, right on the other side of the lake, around 300 meters away. So this confirms that the Russians have basically pushed to the Ukrainian front line over at this area. So battle of Yasnobrodivka is going to begin. So these are all the frontline changes report. And for those commanders that are very busy, you can actually take your leave. Sergeants, please escort these commanders go out. Okay, for the real commanders, we will continue the actual situation report, because those commanders that just left, they do not have the security clearance. So they actually cannot hear the actual strategy and tactical reporting. They can only hear the surface level stuff. And we're going to go into the strategy and tactical reporting, commander. And so don't have to press the like button. It's okay. Don't press it. Don't subscribe. It's okay. Don't sign in. We go into the strategy and tactical reporting at the Kharkiv front. So at the Kharkiv front, the Russians are now on the counter, with the Russian forces attacking in the Lipsy sector and also at the Voschan sector. So in these two regions, the Russians are on the counter attack. We have the Russians attacking over at Kliboki, as well as to Lipsy. I want to Google translate the Kliboki. The pronunciation is a bit weird. It's called Heliboke, or Heloboke in Ukrainian. So the Russians are Globoke. So it's a bit weird of a pronunciation. And the meaning of this word is actually deep. Deep, D-E-E-P, deep. Went deep, not deep, that deep. So yeah, very deep name, very deep name. So Russian forces are on the counter. There is no frontline change. The Ukrainians are holding. I think the Ukrainian forces that's fighting over these Kharkiv fronts are all very good troops. They are all very well trained troops. So the Russians are definitely going to have a hard time in the Kharkiv front, as we have already seen over the past few weeks. The Ukrainians are really giving the Russians a good fight, despite the Russians have a superiority in a lot of these equipments and air superiority and whatnot. So there are geolocation of Ukrainian forces getting bombarded. One of them is just across the border over at Okip, and otherwise there is bombardment in multiple locations. One in Maribrokody is a Lancer hitting a mobile radar, and so that's all from the Lipsy sector. Over at the Staritsia sector, as mentioned here, Ukrainian forces are geolocated in these two locations, invalidating all the Russian claims of presence in the Ibitske region. So which means that Deep State UA's mapping is highly accurate, because according to the Ukrainian mapping, they have never mapped this as any form of Russian presence. They did map this as gray zone, if I didn't remember wrongly, but no. With these geolocations, it's now firmly established that the Ukrainians are there. So over at this Volchan sector, Russian forces is now on the counter, and they are massively bombarding all the Ukrainian forces in this area here. And there is also shelling being reported at Sinernikove, according to the Russian Defense Ministry, and it could also still be an attack, through the forest or in the forest region, but which is why I put it as a fighting icon, but it's slightly a fire attack. Well, but we have to be careful because who knows, the Russians have crossed the river, crossed the Seversky Donetsk River around here. It's hard to say. It's very, very hard to say. So, and as we zoom in into those chants, you can see the calamity that's happening right here. Airstrikes are being dropped all across these places. There's airstrikes. Most of them are airstrikes, and a lot of them is concentrated in this area here, in this high-rise building around here, and the Russians have still not been claimed to be pushed out of this area, of this so-called encirclement, and the Russians are counter-attacking. So we will continue to see how these develop in this area. And importantly was the Ukrainian geolocations, geolocated along the river, the Volchan River, on the eastern outskirt, confirming Ukrainian presence around here, which means that somewhere around the river here, they managed to have a good crossing that the Russians did not blow up, and that allows them to cross into this side of the western part of the Volchans, allowing them to at least bring the battle elsewhere, and not play the game that the Russians are establishing. The Ukrainians could actually attack into the rear positions if they choose to, and draw Russians' attention away from the city. So of course, the Ukrainians still have to continue to send troops to hold a position. That's for sure, if they want to hold this position. But yeah, there is some options for the Ukrainians, but that really depends on the commanders on the ground. Over at Taike, Russian forces is now confirmed to be in the north of Taike. However, Ukrainians, as per the Frontline Changes report, confirmed that the entire area here is under Ukrainian control. The Russians do not have any presence here, and this actually invalidates the Russian claim of capture by Ryba. So this is this now we can confirm that Taike is not under Russian control. So that's all for the Kharkiv front. We move into the Kupiansk front. So over the Kupiansk front, Russian forces are attacking in multiple locations. Over at Sinkivka, this location is Stepova, Novoselivka, Pishani, as well as Berestove. So these are the 4 locations the Russians are attacking, with multiple shelling reported around Pishani, as well as in the southwest of Pristin, which is actually a Lancet hitting a radar. So the Ukrainians have been pulling up radars, to the front line over the past few weeks, and many of them got hit by Lancets, and these are documented by video. So but of course the radar, there are different type of radars. Some of them are just counter artillery radars and the artillery location radars. Others are surface to air missile systems. So we'll continue to monitor. I think all are pretty important. I think counter artillery radars are particularly important because that's how the Ukrainians can even the odds when it comes to the Russians attacking. So we move on over at this Sviatove front. So this is Sviatove. At the Sviatove front, Russian forces are attacking in this area towards Kharkivka and Druzhlyubivka. So these are the 2 locations that the Russians are attacking towards. This is according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. And this one is by Russian. Yeah, this is by Russians. So there is confirmed a push in this direction in the southwest of Kamazynivka. There is shelling reported at Pisky Reskivki and also at Shikivka. This is reported by the Russian Defense Ministry. And there is an important story being reported. The Deep State UA claimed that the Russian forces have built up a 10,000 personnel force with 450 weapons, of which 200 are artillery systems. So they claim that the Russian forces have built up a huge force. Let me zoom in. So a huge force around here in the Rahorokha, Sahivka region, And this was previously an area that the Russians have tried to push. So they say that this build our forces means that the Russians are going to push again. And we are probably going to see the common names, Mesuzarivka and Andriivka getting hit, Vishnive, Kopanki, Novosahivka, Svedokhlibove, and this Novoyehorivka. So these are the few locations that the Russians are likely to hit and go towards. In the long run, this is a huge arrow direction towards Borova. Clearly, this 10,000 force, I don't think they're going to reach Borova. Deep State UA did mention that there is a huge number of Ukrainian forces also deployed over here. There is 3 assault brigades that is holding the position. However, they are still being outnumbered by the 20th Army in the form of 344th Division. So the Russians are preparing a huge push, but I have to remind this of course information from Deep State UA. But I have to remind the Ukrainians have been reporting, even the Ukrainian Defense Ministry has been highlighting potential massive offensive by the Russians in the Kharkiv region, or the Oskil fronts per se, like Kupiansk front, Svetove front, Kremina front, and all these purported offensive never happens. And it's also important to note that this could also be just a diversion. By showing the Ukrainians that they have a huge number of forces gathering in this area here, they are forcing the Ukrainians to gather troops into this area to prepare for this offensive, which will just deprive the other front lines that the Russians actually want to focus on. So this is just an important note, important development, I would say. But nothing is obvious. At least in terms of fighting, there is not much fighting around here. Previously in this area here, we have probing attacks, but none of these are the actual offensive. So we shall monitor. Over the Kremina front, this Kremina city, Russian forces are attacking at Makievka, Nevsky, Terny, Torske, as well as through the Serebransky forestry. Russian forces geolocated and Ukrainian geolocated all within the respective front line, so no front line changes regarding that. So but you can see there's a huge, if you zoom out in terms of looking at the whole of the Oskil front, you can see that the Russians are having these massive arrows in the north and in the south. So this makes me wonder if the Svatove push, does it really gonna come? We're not sure. But we just have to continue to monitor and see. But if they push, then it's just going to be a one massive Oskil front, full front push. So yeah, we shall see. Over the Sivas front, at the Sivas front, as mentioned in the frontline changes report, there is only reports at Rozdolevka, but this is a major one. Russian forces geolocated at the end of these 2 forests along the railway line, and they basically are able to enter into Rozdolevka. It's also important to remember that the Russians have already reached the other outskirts previously, and which means that the Russians can now pincer Rozdolevka from 2 different directions, and which is the Russians' favorite. So with this posturing, we are going to see the battle of Rozdolevka, heating up into some very, very serious situation. And Ukrainian forces are geolocated within Rozdolevka, getting hit by FPV drone. So the Ukrainians are definitely defending Rozdolevka right now, and we shall see how this goes. Over at the Bakhmut front, front, we have fighting reported in the Hoihorivka region as well as towards Chasivia. The entire front line at Kalanina, this entire push for Chasivia has basically died out. As I mentioned before, I know other YouTube channels or other reporters, other so-called experts, influencers, whatever. They disagree, right? They push. They are saying that Chasivia, Ukrainians especially, even from my own sources, the Ukrainians themselves believe that the Russians are going to push for Chasivia. And as I predicted, I'm right. The entire offensive went dead. Nothing happening. You can say that it's the Ukrainians defended well, but it could also be that the Russians never wanted to push it. They are just drawing Ukrainian attention into this area here so that they can break through over in the Bakhmut front. So whatever it is, the reality is the front line is stuck here. So, and moving into the southern flank, we have fighting reported at Klishchiivka region, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. So the Russians are attacking somewhere around in the area of Klishchiivka. It's unclear it's in the north or south or actually through Klishchiivka. So we're not sure about that. There is shelling reported over in the Oleksandro Shutine. So, oops, yeah, boop, boop. So Oleksandro Shutine, there is shouting reported over here, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. Not very important. They also have some other locations, which is, very weird. It's really not important. All this shelling far away is actually not very important. I know sometimes I just ponder, should I even mark it on the map? Sometimes it's just pointless. Nothing at the New York front. Over at the Avdiivka front. At the Avdiivka front is where the Russians' main push is, and Syrskyi has posted the update on his Telegram channel, and he also acknowledged that this is actually the main push of the Russians. So the Ukrainians clearly know where the main push is, and if they know, but then they're still getting pushed back, clearly shows that they are struggling at this front line. So the Russian forces are attacking in the area of north of Kramik, north of Arkhangelsk, north of Ocheretine, at Novoalexandrivka, towards Vodizenka, towards Yekhanivka, at Sokyu, towards Novoselivka, Persia, north of Umansky, towards Yasnobrodivka. So this the overall strategic situation. You can see that it's literally everywhere, and particularly this northern part is being highlighted by Deep State UA as a serious situation. According to I think Deep State UA, I didn't mark it. Did I mark it? No, I didn't write it anywhere. Yeah. So anyway, the Ukrainians. So we have the Russian ones though. The Ukrainians did mention this, but I didn't really. I didn't copy or paste the information, but the Russians did mention this. They say that the Russians have activated the front, including the Ocheretine area, and this information is confirmed by their sources, and the advance of the Russian forces is recorded. So the Russians are bypassing several strongholds and advance west of Kalinove. So they are moving in this direction. As per I mentioned before, but of course we shall see how this develop, because we also have Russians attacking at Kramik region, according to the Russian sources. So, but my opinion, of course, I have mentioned many times, this is the main push. This is going to be the main direction, and along the way they are going to hit the flank position, because this is how you do breakthroughs. So to keep the Ukrainians from able to pincer it and stop the advance. Sorry, my nose is itchy. As usual. No, it's a usual thing, but I think by now. Over at Sokyu, Russian forces, as mentioned in the frontline changes report, have this massive unbelievable breakthrough of sorts. They managed to enter into the trenches, and according to the Ukrainians, they even mapped it this far out, that the Russians have went into the second tree line. 1 tree line, 2 tree line, they basically reached at the second tree line. And this is shocking, because with this advance around here, which means that the Ukrainian forces may not be at these trenches, or they have too few people at the trenches. The Russians basically have this tactical advantage now, that they can actually go into the rear positions, cut off the retreat, and I'm quite sure the Ukrainians have these 3 lines heavily defended with another trench line protecting it, or supplying it from the other side, from the western side. So of course they will try to prevent this flanking movement, but the Russians couldn't just go down the 3 line. So without going down the open, and this would still be very disastrous for the Ukrainians. I'm not sure what the hell is happening right now, because I never expect such a huge push in the Sokyu region, or success in this area, because I thought that the Russians would just push through the settlement, avoiding the entrenchment. But what do I know? So that's the situation over at this northern part of the Avdiivka front. In the southern part, we have also massive updates. Sorry to make you dizzy. The Russian forces have basically killed off this entire buffer zone and taken everything of it in the north. The 2 tree lines around here is now taken, and this fully secures Umansky from the north. Russian forces now also approach Yasno-Brodivka, and basically they are on the verge of starting the battle of Yasno-Brodivka. So it's rather quite scary. Ukrainian forces geolocated here getting hit by FPV drone. So Ukrainians definitely is defending in this northern part of the lake. The Russians over on the southern part, and the Ukrainians clearly have entrenchment around here. So we shall see some very bold attempt by the Russians to just rush this trench line, and there will be a slow grind through this forest region around the lake to establish some foothold in this area. Yasno-Brodivka is a very, very small settlement. You can literally see just a few buildings here and there, pretty much all flattened. There's some trenches around here and there, but yeah, it's not a very significant settlement at all. It's just a small little village. So even if there's a claim of the capture of Yasno-Brodivka, it's not that much difference from capturing another tree line. So, but definitely they gotta squeeze and make full use of all the PR victory points. So that's the situation. For this front line, I just want to talk a bit more about the Umansky situation. So because of the Russians taking of the northern part of Umansky, and then you're going to see these Ukrainians have this very weird front line. This is not sustainable. This is going to be cut off. The Russians are going to straighten the front line. At this rate, the Ukrainians will not be able to hold this area here. At most is this tree line, and this is going to be difficult along because the Russians can now attack from two different directions. So this area here is just not defendable. This is just death trap. So Ukrainian forces will have to withdraw away. So there's going to be a straightening of the front line for sure in the next 2-3 days, I guess. So we shall continue to see how this develops at this Avdiivka front. Komishivka got shelled, but not important. And also we move into the Donetsk front. Hernik got shelled as well. Hernik got a very weird Russian name called Gornyak, and this Hernik. So the name is so different. It took me some time to actually find it. I have to use the Ukrainian version of the name to actually find the location. So over at the Donetsk front, we have battles over in this sector. So then Velika Novosibirsk sector was another thing. So over the Battle of Krasnohorivka, we have no news. We only have information that the battle is ongoing. Over at this Hyogivka region, the Russians are also fighting in this area according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. And then further south, just Paraskovievka that's fighting. Ukrainian forces geolocated off Boyeda, not important. Shelling at Katerinivka, not important. A lot of not important information. And this is why you are the real commanders. Or the real commanders have to or real soldiers listen to a lot of boring reports. That's what we do. Shelling reported at Velika Novosibirsk sector. Russian forces geolocated in Staromayorsky on the northeastern part, confirming and corroborating the frontline changes around here. And this little bit left, there's no news. We still do not know what happened to it. And we move into the Zaporizhia front. So this is Zaporizhia city, and this is the Zaporizhia front. At the Zaporizhia front, we have shelling reported at Vavarivka. And then we have fighting reported at Nesteryanka, and this is Zerebianki. So that's about it from this area. There is nothing very serious happening around here. This fighting reported here. They say that the DPA group of forces have engaged units of the Mountain Assault Brigade and the Infantry Brigade 141st. So yeah, they just engaged. I don't think this is an assault. I think they're just probing attacks. So that's about it in this area. We have nothing much over the Kherson front except for one geolocation of a new type of FPV drone. I did share this in the DPA's Telegram channel. You can please join the Telegram channel if you have not. The link is in the description. This new drone is very weird. It looks more like a propeller aircraft, like the It's like, you know, the front propeller aircraft. And it reminds me of the Olan drone. So, you know, it's a new type of a suicide drone. It looks like a biplane, not biplane, no, like a propeller plane, and then just flies in and create a big explosion. The explosion seems to be a little bit bigger than normal FPV drones. So, but that's about it. Yeah, yeah, that's it. So, Commander, so this is the situation report or the SITREP for the day of 845 for the 17th of June. Do press the like button, subscribe. Oh, sorry, don't press the like button, don't subscribe. No, it's a reverse psychology. Please subscribe. No, please press the like button, and I'll see you guys in the next update.